Breaking news. Over Syrian airspace, a Russian fighter jet shoots down an American MQ-9 drone. According to a statement released by U.S. Air Force Central, a Russian fighter jet came extremely close to an American MQ-9 drone on a mission to attack ISIS on July 23. On Tuesday, U.S. military officials confirmed that a Russian fighter plane had damaged an American drone while it was over Syria. As tensions between Moscow and Washington over the ongoing war in Ukraine enter their second year, this was yet another bold intercept by Moscow. According to a statement released by U.S. Air Force Central, a Russian fighter jet came extremely close to an American MQ-9 drone on a mission to attack ISIS on July 23. According to the statement, the Russian jet harassed the MQ-9 and shot off flares from a position directly overhead, leaving only a few meters of space between the two planes. One of the Russian flares struck the US MQ-9, severely damaging its propeller, Lieutenant General Alex Grinkowicz, head of U.S. Air Force's Central, said. Grinkowicz said the Russian fighters' blatant disregard for flight safety detracts from America's objective to assure the lasting defeat of ISIS, but luckily the MQ-9 crew was able to sustain flight and recover the aircraft to its home base. We demand that the Russian forces in Syria immediately cease their unprofessional, rash, and unprovoked actions. A Russian fighter jet harassed a U.S. manned surveillance aircraft over Syria a little over a week before this incident. According to CNN's reporting from last week, this was at least the seventh incident involving U.S. and Russian military aircraft that the U.S. has judged hazardous or unprofessional this month. Russia and the United States have been at odds since February, when Russia launched a military offensive against Ukraine. Frustrating the Kremlin and Russian President Vladimir Putin, the war is proving costly for Moscow as Western military support led by the U.S. denies any win to Russia while depleting its resources and men. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Army General Mark Milley, was quoted by the Associated Press as saying that he did not know what had caused the sudden rise in aerial contacts involving military fighter jets. Analysts are working to determine the answer to that question. Not sure whether this has anything to do with Ukraine. The evidence isn't there yet, he told reporters during a recent briefing. According to AP's reporting, some commanders believe it is the result of coordinated efforts by Russia, Syria, and Iran to get the United States out of Syria and allow for more Iranian involvement in the country's south. Before the war in Ukraine, Syria was seen by the Russians as an arena for competition as well as cooperation with the U.S. Rhonda Slim, head of the Conflict Resolution and Track 2 Dialogues program at the Washington-based Middle East Institute, told AP. He stated that restricting Iran and Turkey's presence in Syria was in their mutual interest, as was preventing a military escalation between Iran and Israel that may spark a regional war, working toward a diplomatic resolution to the Syrian conflict, and denying the Islamic State a safe haven. Nonetheless, Slim stated, there is an increasing convergence between the Russian and Iranian positions around an endgame that sees U.S. forces pushed out of Syria. This development has occurred since the war in Ukraine. Russia has been accused by the United States and other Ukraine allies, including Iran, of receiving hundreds of drones to aid in the conflict.